All right, OpenAI, I see what you've done here. You just raised the bar on image generation. I see you and I call you. If you want to know how OpenAI performed this magic, stick around. I'll walk you through the parts that I understand. I'll tell you where to go to get the parts I don't understand. And hopefully we'll come out of this on the other end with some ASCII art. All right, so OpenAI they released an o4-mini model, and they did a sort of a live demo to talk about it. But one of the things that they also talked about was the o3 model and some of the things that people had done with it, and they presented this little gem.
Awesome. So I went online to see what people had built with o3-mini. And so I found this cool image to ASCII generator. The author said that they built it with o3, but I'm pretty sure they meant o3-mini. So
unless they were time travel.
Yeah, right. And so, so I thought today we would re-implement this using Codex and o4-mini just from the post. And so I'll start out actually, but just by taking a screenshot. And I'll take the screenshot and I'll drag it to my terminal. And so I'll give it to Codex. And so as you can see, I've passed it in using the image flag. And so Codex will start using that multimodal reasoning that we saw earlier from o4.
And it's asking for some clarifying questions, thinking about things, and then it actually looked at the image and even suggested a few things that we might want to do with it. What did you have in mind?
I mean, I thought we would just re-implement what we saw in the post.
Yeah, but I mean, since we're live, maybe we'll make it a little bit more fun. Let's add the web camera API, and just for the folks watching on the live stream, maybe let's make sure we keep it in the 16:9. I don't want a little video, but I don't want to go and try that.
That sounds bold, but I like it.
And while it's thinking, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about how it actually runs the commands? We can start to see it actually running some commands now.
Yeah, so by default, Codex runs in what we call suggest mode. And so as it's running, it suggests commands to edit or commands to run or files to edit, and you get to approve each one. But that can get a bit tedious. And so for the sake of the demo, I ran it in what we call full auto mode.
Yeah, and a little bit about full auto mode. It's a mode where you can allow the agent to go off and do its work, but still stay safe and secure. So it's able to run commands network disabled and limit the edits that it makes to the directory that you ran it in. So it gives you the peace of mind of actually having something that can go off and do things, but without the risks that come with just letting it run whatever command it wants. And it looks like
it's already done.
So you want to pull it up?
Yeah, so it said it created this ASCII HTML file. So let's go pull that up. Gotta give it some permissions.
Always need some permissions.
And let's see.
Oh,
that's nice.
I was like, it even has a little width slider.
Let's see.
Not quite what I thought a width slider would do.
Oh, but it's low res us.
I do love the low res version. Greg, you want to say hi?
There we go.
Hi.
Nice.
Amazing. So you can go up as of a few minutes ago to our GitHub, OpenAI/Codex, and go check it out. You can even use Codex to explain the repo to you. We're incredibly excited to see what you do.
Okay, so what just happened there? OpenAI, what have you done to us? So clearly, when they dropped their little image generation on us and said, hey world, go Studio Ghiblify everything, their servers got slammed. So I think they dropped this little nugget, but raised the barrier to entry, so we wouldn't all hit them at the same time. I am going to be the first to admit this is pretty far out of my depth. I have a very distant background in programming and even programming on a Unix system, but we are talking before the iPhone was invented. But we're kind of tech curious, right? And you and I, we're reasonably intelligent people, so we should be able to figure this out, right? Let's unpack a little bit of what they said. Codex is their new command line interface. I think they're calling it a coding agent. It's their coding agent system. You could think of this like a chat system that only runs in a terminal, but will code for you. It's not available in the regular ChatGPT website that you might go to or app. Okay, I can open a terminal. So here's where I am. Step 1, go to GitHub and see what the heck he was talking about. All right, github.com/OpenAI/Codex. That gets you here. If you've used GitHub before, there's nothing new to you. If you haven't, even if you have a little bit like I have, this gets a little confusing. You could just basically download all the source code and play around with it. And it's kind of showing you what that might look like. I came in and was immediately overwhelmed. But really what it's saying is you can run this command in your terminal, and that will install Codex for you. But let me take a step back. Even before I do that, the best advice is copy this URL, open a ChatGPT session, paste the URL, and just see what it tells you. And you can start asking questions of ChatGPT. So it's going to describe a little bit what Codex is, go into some details, may or may not care about. How do I install this and use it on my machine? All right, so then it's going to come in and tell you that there's some things that you need to have installed already. You need a version of Node.js 18 or later. I've done all this previously, but it will walk you through it. You can copy and paste these commands into your terminal. Then it gives you step 2, install the Codex command line interface. It tells you how to do that, and then run npm install. And then it will talk to you about setting up some of the environmental variables that you'll need. There were a couple of times I ran into some warnings or some error messages on my terminal screen. I cut and pasted the command in there, or the warning or the error, into ChatGPT and hit enter, and it basically told me what to do. A couple of times I had to upgrade. I had some older versions of software. You might need to install some software, but they're all very simple copy and paste commands. And there were a couple of warnings that it told me I could ignore. So it was, gosh, just a delight to use because, like I said, my experience is multiple decades old now. And let me tell you, it was not that easy back in the day. One of the things you do need to do, though, you will need an OpenAI API key. I happen to have done that already, but if you don't know how to do that, that's going to be another step that you might want to ask ChatGPT about. You will need to pay for that. I believe you don't pay for the keys per se, but you have to sort of pre-fund the account so that when the key goes and hits the LLM, it's got funding to do that. It's not super expensive, and I think when I got my key, I put like $5 in, and I've used $2 yet, I think, including doing some of the ASCII Art things that I'll be showing here. And depending on which model you use, it's going to be more or less expensive. That was pretty straightforward. You can just ask ChatGPT how to do that. But you will, once you get that, you will need to replace the text, your API key, with your actual API key. So my first crack at this, I just wanted to make a static ASCII Art file generator. So I found the original post on Twitter of the ASCII Art, and I did exactly what they did in the OpenAI demo. I just took a snapshot of that Twitter post, of that X post, and drug it into Codex and said, hey, can I do something like this? And after a fair amount of back and forth, the sizing was a little off. I wasn't quite happy with it. But after a little bit of back and forth, it gave me what I wanted. So we're going to test it out using this tiger that was creeping up on me in a previous video. All right. So you can see I ended up, after the back and forth, with a bunch of kind of ugly sliders where we can change the width and the dither or not, and the level, some zooming. Let's set the level back down to mid-range. So let's upload that tiger, see what it gives us. So it either gave me something super huge or super small, and it was just very hard to see. But I mean, not bad, right? And we can add some detail. Oh, I like that. Give it a little dither. I'll be honest, I don't know what that is. I went back to that X post and I sort of scanned the settings that it had and said, let me try that. I'm just hoping some of this would add some clarity for me. So yeah, actually, I kind of like that. Let's see, I've got a couple of others. I've got a robot puppy dog. Oh, he's pretty cute. Too much, too much? It's hard to say. If it gets too big, I lose the clarity in it. Maybe if I stood about 10 feet back from my desk, I could see. I'd give them a little more contrast, a little less contrast. So I can, I can make this, oh, I like the little taller puppy dog. And the font size is kind of fun, pretty cute. So you see, it is definitely doable. And it definitely takes a lot more work than just dragging an image into ChatGPT and saying, hey, can you Studio Ghiblify this? But if we're going to set the world on fire with ASCII Art, it's fine. But that's not what they showed us in the OpenAI demo, is it? That's not what we're all kind of waiting here to see. So we're going to go back to the video. All right, so I am just going to type what they typed using the image that I've already grabbed, see what happens. Okay, so I am in my Codex file system. I created a new directory just to kind of keep my separation a little bit, and I'm just going to try running that command that they gave us. And I am going to be testing out the o4, whoops, there's no o5-mini, I don't think, mini model. And I'm going to go ahead and say I'm using full auto, just like they recommended. So I don't have to keep answering, yes, you can install that. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do that. Sounds like they've taken safety and security into account. So I'm good with that. And then, all right, and then I'm dragging, that's my copy of this screenshot from X, of the original ASCII Art app that the developers in the OpenAI demonstration were talking about. Okay, if you followed all that, that is thrilling. Let's see what happens. All right, so here is, you can kind of see now we're working together to build this. All I told it was, Codex, I want you to start firing up. Here's the model I want you to use. I want you to run in auto mode. And here's a random file that I gave you. So it's looking at that file and saying, it looks like you've pointed me at a screenshot. How can I help you with this image? For example, do you want me to generate ASCII art, diagnose an error, something else? What would you like to do? I want to do what they did. Okay, so what they said is re-implement this in ASCII.html using the web camera API with a 16:9 aspect ratio. Great, let's do that. Oh, I have a typo in there. That's not 16:9, that's 16:9. What do you think? Think it's gonna be able to figure that one out? All right, let's Control C out of there. Whoops, let's start that over again. All right, I had to restart Codex because I accidentally shut it down to correct that typo, but let's see, re-implement this in ASCII HTML using the web camera API with a 16:9 aspect ratio. All right, that sounds better. So these models, obviously, they are probabilistic, which means generally each time you run it, you should get roughly the same thing, but you're not gonna get exactly the same thing. So I don't necessarily know that this will work right out of the gate, but would be pretty cool. And if it does work, we don't know that it's going to be the same as what the OpenAI demo showed, but we can hope. And if it isn't, we can keep chatting with this agent to see if we can get it more to our liking. All right, so it says we can open ASCII.html in a browser. Let's give that a shot. It's asking if I want to give permission to the camera. Yes, you have to allow that. No way. That's awesome. Okay, that's pretty amazing. Now, it didn't give me the width slider, and that's some of that. You don't exactly know what you're going to get that I was talking about, but that's astounding. Lining up the camera, oh, that's beautiful. Okay, that's pretty amazing. I'm going to call that a win for sure. And if I could do this, you definitely can do this. I'm telling you, I was so out of my depth, I almost did not do this video because I just was nervous about the fact that I can't explain a lot of this to you. But then I remembered I don't have to. I'm here to kind of help walk you through it and show you that it can be done and tell you where to go to ask questions because I'm not the expert. ChatGPT is quickly becoming the expert for all of these things. So, man, oh, look, it's even got lens glare. Nice. Nice. So, wow. So that was fun. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't gloss over too much. The stuff that I glossed over is honestly stuff that I am not really comfortable with. I don't understand it well enough to explain it probably. But if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. And hopefully either I or somebody else can either give you the answers or tell you how to ask the question maybe in ChatGPT. Sometimes that's actually more beneficial. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.